All right, so the What Happened to Music podcast. Today we are talking about music education, and it is not a fallback. So,
Yeah, so,
what do we mean by that?
well, we should probably point out to anyone who hasn't heard the podcast, we're both music teachers.
Right.
Both of us do elementary general. So, yeah, music ed is not a fallback. You end up running into a situation where someone says, I want to go to college for music.
Yeah.
And you run into the idea of either the parents saying, well, you have to go for music ed, even if that person doesn't want to be teaching.
Right.
Or they say, well, you know what, let me get my music ed degree, so if all of a sudden my bassoon shops
I don't get the best paying bassoon jobs to maintain me.
If I don't get all those oboe gigs, then I'll go into music education. I mean, for me, I went in with the idea of I want to teach in public school. I want to be a music teacher.
Yeah.
That was my main goal. And obviously I got pretty good on the instrument, and I had all that enjoyment.
I mean, for me, I always felt that the performing and the teaching were hand in hand. Like, if I get one better, the other's gonna go up also.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't
So-
can't be a good music teacher without being a good player.
Right. So,
I mean, just
so that's why I stuck around. I stuck around for an extra year, not because I had to, but because I wanted
And got
to.
an extra-
I wanted to learn more about what I do, and I wanted to get better at it before I went out and realizing I would not
Yeah.
have the same chance.
yeah. I mean, because you have your performance degree as well.
Yeah.
So you have your music ed degree, and then
And,
also
and a performance.
and also you had to
degree.
do that
But I
to
never
get-
saw one as over the other.
No. Actually, in the school we went to, oddly enough, the music ed majors were usually the better
Players.
Not always, but often.
Usually.
Usually we're just the much better players. A couple. I mean, obviously we had some excellent performance majors as well.
So, I guess going from this, the problem being when you are somebody who wants to perform, and now you've essentially failed at that a couple years down the line, you're not maintaining yourself, and you're like, oh, well, I have this ed degree, I'm going to go get a teaching job. The problem being, are you going to be a good teacher, or are you going to be forever resentful that the thing you wanted to do did not happen? And
Oh,
now-
that happens all the time.
which does happen all the time. There are a lot of terrible music teachers out there, especially, I think you would agree, elementary music teachers.
Yeah. See,
Where it's like, I don't know enough about my job because I'm not passionate about it, and now my students are suffering as a result.
Oh, that happens. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I mean, actually, it came up with a private student and someone who I had in elementary school. I was saying, I said I love my job, and he's like, "Really? You love your job?" I was like, "Absolutely." I'm like,
Did he like go in for the slow zoom?
pretty much. And I'm like, he's like, you love your job? I'm like, absolutely. First off, in elementary school, and obviously I think everyone who is a teacher, you have difficult students, and
Yeah.
you just try not to let them get to you.
Right.
But 99% of my students are great. The kids are always hilarious. They're saying the funniest things.
Yeah.
Especially, I also teach as young as pre-K. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
if you like that age group, I don't know. They say like that's the cutest things.
Yeah.
And also, I remember during my student teaching, the librarian came in. It was me and the co-op teacher, and she was saying, you guys are always so positive, and I didn't quite get that until I realized like how rejuvenating hearing like kids singing and singing well is. I mean, it really is. It's very uplifting. When you go, oh, that's it's actually really kind of keeps me going.
And for me, I'm cool with my job. My favorite part of the job is the fact that since I work in such a troubled area, that I'm actually helping these kids, especially with all the initiatives in math and reading where the kids are on computers or they're being dictated to and they're repeating back. I'm helping these kids have another avenue for expression. I'm showing them how to focus when the options aren't set in stone directly in front of you. I'm helping make lives better,
Yeah.
which I find very fulfilling. That's what makes a hard job doable.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes back to if you're going to school for music and you don't want to teach, don't go for music ed.
Right.
I mean, it's a bad choice.
If you go for performance, there's other things you could learn how to do to make your money at the end of the day if you want to pursue that performance passion exclusively. I'm thinking of one guy we know, tenor sax, who came in after me. They called him Nacho for a while, as in not Joe.
Gotcha.
But he doubled jazz performance and some kind of computers technology stuff. So if he goes out, he goes for his jazz career. He's a very good player at this point. And that works out. That's fantastic. If not, he has, training in a very relevant field that he could go out and find the job in. So really it's about, are you okay with teaching? Can you get enjoyment out of that? Will you do what's right for your students?
I mean, I'm gonna take it one further.
Okay.
Where, I mean, for the most part, I think most people are at least thinking that they're going to be in for a 25-year career.
Right.
If you are not passionate about teaching, it's going to wear you down and you're going to hate it at some point.
Yeah, it is. It is not an easy job. I'm not just saying that because we're teachers. It is not an easy job. It is very emotionally draining.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's it.
There are days when I feel very stressed out beyond the point of really having any control at all. But, just holding on to what I mentioned earlier, that is good for me. I want to do that. Also, there are not really enough jobs, honestly, for music to be your fallback, your safe option.
Oh, yeah. I mean, better people are going to get the jobs over you if...
Worse people might get the jobs over you, as I found out in my 200 application journey to where I am now.
Best part about elementary general is I always refer to it as it's a scatter plot of the school. Like, this class is more difficult. Oh, this class is wonderful. This class is, really high energy but really good. This class is really low energy and really difficult, right? So you get to end up seeing, 20 plus classes. It is nice to see them for a period, and if it's a really difficult class, you have a class immediately after, and it's like, well,
bye.
Okay, see you guys. See you guys.
And it also gives you a very large advantage in the school. All of the kids. You understand over a period of years what makes them tick, where they can succeed. I have other teachers coming to me asking about students all the time, like, oh, so-and-so is going to come to me next year. What are they going to look like? Or what's so-and-so's problem today? And then I'll be like, oh, well, actually, blah, 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 blah. All very powerful things.
That's one of the best things about, I feel bad sometimes for grade level teachers, where if you just get a bad mix of students, and again, it's not even necessarily like you have all quote unquote bad kids.
It only takes one or two to make a group rough.
But you get a situation where so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so shouldn't be in the same class.
Right.
Because they either talk too much or...
And yet they're somehow always in the same class.
Always in the same class.
Always.
But I feel bad for grade level teachers because all of a sudden it's like, well, your year is pretty much shot. Your entire year, there's like no escaping it.
That's it. Yeah.
Aside from like, oh, well, I'm going to get...
Well, like I have one teacher last year, she had like one of the best classes ever. And then she got moved to a different room this year, same grade level. But now magically she has all of the troubled kids together. And there are so many of them that there's no way to like
the management
space them out. It's just like she's
so
constantly still with management, which I feel terrible. It's not her though, because I've seen her in a more ideal situation.
I do feel sometimes when you talk about a class, and you'll say so-and-so's class is very difficult. Sometimes people, I think, automatically assume that you're talking about the teacher's abilities. When you know when you know as a special area teacher or a related content area teacher, RCAT, have you heard that term yet? No, he has. So an RCAT or a special area teacher or music teacher. You run into situations where it's like, well, no, I can look at your class roster and know what I'm gonna end up dealing with.
And I mean, the homeroom teacher does have an effect on the group. I've noticed.
Oh well, yeah.
But I can't say I know any terrible teachers. Like they're all fine. They do their job as best they can. But the mix of kids definitely.
No, I work with. There's not one teacher in my school that I wouldn't say was a great teacher and doing their best.
Right.
And I mean, obviously, that's not going to always be the situation, but just everyone I work with is just certainly dedicated. And of course, you can have years that are tougher than normal.
Yeah. So all these things we talked about, these are things that you would be talking about if education is your passion. If you just spaced out for the last few minutes, or if you X out of this video and you're no longer listening, you probably shouldn't be a teacher.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's a good point.
If that's not what you want to talk about or think about.
Don't go for music ed if you don't want to teach.
Right. It is not your safe option.
It's not.
It's not even looking at it from the outside.
You're gonna fizzle out the second, in like your third or fourth year,
Yeah.
and then it's either, well, this is what I'm going to be doing because, well, I'm tenured and I have dental benefits that allow me to work on my teeth.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to the kids.
Even getting the job in the first place, it's not safe
No.
at this point. There are people we know who graduated who really want to teach who still
having a hard time.
haven't gotten a full-time job years later.
Right.
So what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you, leave a comment, share.
And please subscribe.